Good evening. Hello, guys. Um, the Onion Cato says, I watched a lot of your vids today. Um, did you like them? Or did you learn anything? Or did you hate them? Um, hello, guys. I hope you are doing well tonight. If you have any queries, feel free to type them in the chat box below. Otherwise, I can suggest some other ideas. But if you guys have any like situations in your life that you're struggling with, like maybe this girl at work, you think she might like you, I can tell you yes or no. I mean, obviously I can't with 100% certainty, but I can read the tea leaves, if you will. I can read the signs. And yeah, stuff like that. Okay, I got a question here. KO says, I wanted to ask you if you could tell your son one thing about getting girls, what would you say? Just one thing. That's a great question. Fantastic question. Um, I know this isn't directly answering your question. I kind of need to just warm up my brain a little, I think, but I'm going to make a video, which I think would be getting at this exact question with my boyfriend, because I feel like my boyfriend's made a lot of progress in understanding women. Like, he tells me when he was younger, he knew nothing about women. I'm like, really? You? So I really want to question him specifically. What did you learn from being in a relationship with me? That sounds kind of conceited, but it's like, what things do you know now about women that you didn't know when you were younger? Because, um, yeah, but all right, stupid answer. All right, just one thing. I guess I would say something like, son, you are a man. You have quadruple the testosterone of a woman. Therefore, your sexuality and your mating strategy is going to be slightly different than women. You are going to want things that women don't. And you're going to be wanting different things, okay? And you really need to kind of understand female culture, you might say, the female gaze, and what women really are after, so that you can see if there's anything that they're after that you might be able to give them. Because then if you give them something they want, then they'll give you something you want, because they'll be so grateful, thankful, and basically you'll be able to get what you want, which is sex, maybe a variety of sexual experiences from women, while also appreciating the beauty of what women have to offer and the depth and the beauty of the female gaze. So, I'd have to kind of go into that for him, like what exactly the female gaze is and what it is women want. But I feel like just that initial piece of, you know what? Men and women are equal in 99.9% of ways. But, there is that Y, yeah, there's the Y chromosome, which has some different instructions for men on how to mate. Okay. So they're going to be thinking slightly different about mating and dating. And they need to understand that it's not just like, you know, it's not just like you're gay basically and you're asking out and speaking to another guy and you're trying to get sex basically from another guy, where you can just be yourself You can just be honest. You can speak your truth. You can say, yo, do you have any nudes? Like, what are you into? Do you want to fuck, basically? Okay, like, you can't really do that with women because they want something more complex than just casual sex. So I feel like I just really need to make that distinction because I feel like most men assume women want what I want. And while women do like sex, and women may even enjoy casual sex, it's still different. So, does that make sense? So, let me know if you guys understood what I'm saying. So, Lewis Hall says, I wanted to know, does being a Dom sexually and in real life go together? Not necessarily, Lewis Hall. You could be basically a Dom sexually and a very caring person into equality in the rest of your relationship. Like, that's pretty much how my boyfriend is. He enjoys being Dom in the bedroom, but in the rest of our relationship, it's he's not like bossing me around, controlling me, ordering me around at all. But there's kind of like a looser definition of Dom, which you could kind of see as like being kind of a masculine man with integrity and good social skills and grit and all that. But just like sexually, you don't have to be a Dom in all ways. Some people are, okay? Some people want to control everything in their personal life and in their sexual life. Some people are more of a top, if you will, where they just kind of enjoy it sexually, but they don't need to deeply control and be in control in the rest of their lives. But yeah, you could be one or both, if that makes sense. So what do you think, Lewis Hall? Hello, Samuel Williams. He says, when asking a girl out, do you use the term date, or can you say, can we hang out? If it's implied, it's just me and her, and maybe it's not in public, like I'm at her place if she's down. You don't have to use the term date. You could say, can we hang out? It's fine. Depends kind of like what your strategy is. Like if you really want to like woo her, impress her, soften her, you might want to say date. But if you kind of want to just like act slightly hard to get, you want to act like you're a F-boy player, like casual only, you can say, can we hang out? So, Walt says, women want potential. That's it. If your potential does not match her standard, she will leave. I don't know what you mean, women want potential. You can explain if you want. So Holder says, what do you think about hypergamy? So I'll have to look up the exact definition again, but in my understanding, it's basically like the desire of women to date somebody or to be with somebody or to mate with somebody strong, alpha, if you will, and kind of like the best they can get. So in that case, like I agree with it, but I think like there's some more like, you know, things. I forgot exactly, like you guys explained to me one time, it was kind of like you have to date higher than like your rating or whatever, which I think is really stupid. But the impulse to want to date somebody elite in a way, somebody with like really good qualities that you could pass on to your kids, the best like genetic material, those evolutionary survival traits that you like respect and admire and that are kind of like, valuable in life. It's very big for women. That's a huge part of like women's mating strategy for sure. Okay, so I got a tip here. Thank you so much. JB Weld, hello. And thank you for your tip, JB. So my woman likes me to create scenarios to surprise her with. What are some good material for Dom sub scenarios I can look? That is a great question, JB. That's really cool. Okay, well, I kind of don't want to go totally after. Can you give me any more information about what kind of submissive fantasies she's into? Because she might be into more of like the DDLG side. Okay, she might be more into like an intense dom who orders her around. She might be more into like the primal thing, like being chased like in the woods and like caught and like tackled and tied to a tree or something. She might be into like the whole consensual non-consent aspects. She might be kind of like into some sort of like role play, like yeah. So anyway, can you give me just any more information? Because I think it's a fantastic question, and I love that you want to do this for her. But I don't want to just go, you know, I don't want to give you something she's not going to be into or she's not going to like. So if it's not too personal, JB, can you tell me? And if you can't tell me like over chat to protect your privacy, you could also email me, my nonlinearlife@gmail.com. Give me a little more detail because then I could maybe see more of what she would be into. Because just because you're submissive or just because you have a submissive fantasy or submissive fantasies, that does not mean you're into every single kind of submissive fantasy one could possibly be into. Do you know what I mean? So let me know. And if I can't answer this now, then email me and I will try to give you some ideas. And thanks again, JB. So, hello, Award J. So, Musikin Space says some coaches preach that the cold approach is submissive for men to do. Do you see it that way? Um, I don't. I don't at all. But I guess if their definition of like dominant is that kind of like you just have everyone come to you and you never put yourself out there, you kind of just are like the king and you kind of just, you know, dole out, you just pick who you want. I could see why they mean like it's submissive, but I think that's like a terrible strategy for guys. I know that that's like what a lot of coaches want you guys to do is just like never initiate, never compliment, never chase. I mean, to me, I absolutely despise it. I think it's like so fucking stupid. I think it's very feminine and I think it's ultimately very submissive. I think it, just to be quite blunt, comes from a place of fear and insecurity that it's like they're afraid of rejection. But I feel like my ultimate, like, ideal dominant guy, he would not have a problem if he saw a woman and he wanted to talk to her, going over and starting a conversation. And then if he liked the conversation, asking for a number. Like that's just kind of basic social skills. And to be so petrified of rejection that you can't do that is weak. Okay? And I understand it's not easy. You have to get over your fear, and it's not easy to get over the hurdle and get over the fear. But I don't think it's submissive at all. Like I think it's submissive to just be like afraid your whole life of doing it. What do you think? It's very interesting. Hello, Ripped Up. So, word J says, like, okay, and then JB. Okay, let me just answer JB's first because he did me. All right, thank you so much, JB. So he said, she's into the caring dom, but likes to be ordered to do things, or like different orders in which to do things, need new material. Well, this sounds like a good. Does she like to be spanked? Because I feel like you could just ask her to do something, then find some like little flaw with it, be like, you didn't do what I said. Then you could tell her to like come over, spank her, and be kind of like harsh, but then after be very caring and just be like, I'm so sorry, baby, but that was for your own good. So it's kind of like this DDLG, like caring Dom thing, like nurturing and just kind of like really loving, babying her. Um, I feel like that's kind of like a classic, you know what I'm saying? And yeah. And don't make the spanking like, I mean, people like to be spanked in different ways, but I would kind of do it like, so don't just do like 5, 10 spanks, do like 30, okay? And then be like really caring after, because it's kind of like the strict and the harsh, and then the caring after is, I think it's going to really intensify things. But I think that's kind of like, I mean, maybe she just says like, no, I'm not into spanking at all. Fine, don't do it. But if you think she might be into that, it's a pretty like standard thing someone might be into. Okay, and don't like hurt her during the spanking. You got to kind of feel it out. I don't know, maybe you guys already do stuff like that. Maybe you've already done this. But I feel like that's a pretty good one. What do you think, JB? So, JB, have you already done this one? Let me know. But I think it's like a really good thing to just like my boyfriend will always do this. He'll make up some scenario and then he'll already have planned like the thing he's going to find wrong in the scenario, and he kind of like traps me in something. Like sometimes he'll I wish I could like sometimes it's like there's no right answer. I wish I could think of an example on the spot, but that's like a perfect situation, because then it's like, yeah. All right, I'm gonna see if JB has already done it, because then I can think of some others. But all right. I got another tip from Omar. Thank you so much, Omar. How do you handle a girlfriend who's a little bit of a brat? And if I attract bratty type girls, what does that say about me? Well, Omar, I think what that says about you is that you're probably a brat tamer, because they like you. So they like your vibe, they like your energy. Are you good at this witty repartee? Are you like quick with a comeback? Because that's what they want. All right? Um and you know, I think what they want really, if she really is a brat and not just sassy or whatever, is she wants you to kind of do some comebacks, but then if she pushes you too far, you got to get like a little bit mad, like, just in romance novels they're always talking about like he arched his eyebrow and like, you know, like looked at me like, really, you're going to keep going kind of thing. So you kind of got to get like a little bit like, oh, you're pushing me too far, And then you gotta kind of like punish and like discipline, but in a playful, fun way. But that's really what brats want. They want the witty repartee, they want the fun verbal banter, they want to challenge you, but then they ultimately want to see you basically lay down the law, if you will. Spanking, it's a good one for that too. Okay? Or just some sort of other form of discipline, like, but they don't want you to get angry, but they want you to kind of like, I think like they want like you to discipline them for their own good, kind of like a child where you're like, you gotta learn. You gotta learn that you can't be that way with me. I wouldn't act like that with the child, but that's kind of like a parenting thing, right? So, yeah, but Omar, do you have any like specific scenario where like she said this to you and you're like, how the fuck am I supposed to respond to that? You know what I mean? Let me know, Omar, and thank you once again. So, um, Tim Schmidt says, having to ask for new DOM material in an internet is not super DOM. Tim, I really disagree. It actually is DOM because, people who are into King, they look for new ideas, they look for new inspiration. It's creative. And you want to be inspired by other people. It doesn't make you less of a Dom if you're trying to come up with like a new awesome scenario to surprise your sub with. Being a Dom is not some like, I mean, there's different kinds of DOMs, if you will. Like, there's some people who just deeply feel in their core, like, I have always been like this. I have always had a need for control, like I was saying, in all aspects of my life. A person like that, I mean, they're pretty rare and they're pretty extreme, might just already know exactly how he wanted to control any woman in his life. But most people aren't like that, and you can still be a Dom without being like that. And it is still dominant to just basically do it for fun in the bedroom. And you can like it too on a deeper level as well. But you don't have to be all the way at the extreme of like controlling in your life. Like, I would totally be looking for new ideas. I think it's really cool. So, Jermello 2006 says, we talk, we disagree viciously, we don't talk for a week, we are miserable without each other, then we talk again and end up right back where we started. Why is my relationship like this? Good question, Jermello. Like, you know, I get it. Like, I really do. Some people just, they like, well, I mean, there's probably so many reasons, but you could just get angry like quickly. You could kind of get triggered quickly. Um, you could kind of just like enjoy, like maybe on some subconscious level, the debate. You could even think of it as like maybe it's like a attachment style thing or whatever, as they say. But basically, I mean, me and my boyfriend used to fight pretty viciously once in a while. And one thing saved us. I have talked about it before, but we basically do this 20-minute exercise to resolve all the issues that are like building up. And it's pretty simple. We just set a 20-minute timer. Well, actually, my boyfriend agreed to do this for me. So basically, we set a 20-minute timer, and then one person, me, basically, this is a couples counseling exercise that you should go back and forth with each other, but he just agreed to do it just for me because he was like, I say everything I need to say. And I was like, I can't like express kind of like all the issues that have built up. So anyway, set the timer for 20 minutes. And then for 1 minute, she would speak, let's say. And then after that 1 minute timer goes off, you just do two things. Just two things. That's it. Thought empathy and feeling empathy. You just summarize everything she said. Sounds like you're saying this, and this. And then, second part, based on what she said, imagine how she might be feeling. And I imagine, based on what you said, that you might be feeling angry, annoyed with me, irritated, upset because I did this or that. Then she talks again. That resolved our issues because, like, why we were fighting, I don't know if it's the same for you. There were just so many issues like building up under the surface that we hadn't been able to like resolve. So this exercise, it allowed me to feel like so understood because when he did the thought and feeling empathy, I just felt like, oh my God, like he's really listening. He really cares. He really understands. All my problems just evaporated. They didn't need to be solved. I just needed to feel like heard and understood. And sometimes we get in habits where like we just don't focus on that part. We focus on defending ourselves first. You know what I'm saying? Or we focus on arguing first, but we don't focusing on understanding the other person's point of view first. So anyway, that exercise literally saved us from fighting. And now if we do fight and we do have an argument, we just do this exercise instead. So I don't know. I want to make a video on that because that's like the one thing that actually saved me. But I'm sorry that's happening to you too, Jarmello, because that is like, it's just miserable. It's just horrible, in my opinion, at least. I hate being in a fight. It drives me like crazy, makes me all depressed. Maybe some people handle it better, but I hate conflict. Like, I just want to make up, I want to resolve it. Ugh. All right. So, sorry, Jarmello. So, all right. So Ted Barley says, let me rephrase my question. If a guy allows his girl to sleep with alpha man, does that spare him from having to be alpha or no? So it's kind of like a cuckold thing. Maybe it would. Maybe it would. I've never been in like a cuckold relationship, but if I was, I would kind of want the guy I was with to be somewhat alpha as well, but maybe just slightly less so. Like, for example, in the Netflix show Sex/Life, if you've seen it, there's this married woman, and then there's this guy from her past who's like this uber alpha dude. Okay? But her husband's still pretty alpha too. He like works at Goldman Sachs or something, and he's like, everyone loves him, and he's like making a ton of money. But the problem is he's just not sexually like that great, or he's just a little bit boring in bed. Whereas this other guy, he's like also uber rich, but he's like really great in bed. So I feel like most women, they'll let you off the hook a little bit, but they'll still want some of those things. But you might have this inflated idea of what alpha is to women. You might think it's like, you know, the Sex/Life thing, that's just like a fantasy. It doesn't have to be like that in real life for most women, but they still want a little bit of like you to be strong. But I don't know, maybe some women who are in cuckold relationships like truly don't care about that. They truly don't mind if the guy's like super beta, and that kind of turns them on. I don't know. I always like to have like 2 alphas or whatever. But so Waltz, I will just say Waltz. I have seen many of your comments, and I feel like you are hitting like every check mark in the book for like red pill, like indoctrinated attitudes. And to be honest, when I see that, it's never a good sign, in my opinion. Like you said, I don't chase, I never have. If a woman can judge me on not chasing, then what else will she judge me on? Well, Well, it's like I feel like this is a very insecure, kind of like defensive position to take. Like, you're just scared of a woman judging you and judging you for not chasing. Like, I don't know. I don't chase. I never have. I mean, how's it working out for you, Waltz? I mean, most women aren't going to chase men. Rarely. Very rarely, they might. But most men, they don't necessarily chase in like some desperate fashion, but they initiate conversations with people they like. I'm not saying most men, but many men, I should say, do that. And it's not like some, you know, crushing blow if it doesn't work out. I mean, maybe it is more than they let on, but, if it doesn't work out, like just move on. Plenty of fish in the sea. I know it's easier said than done and everything, but there are many women out there to approach at least. So, reality here. I'm not sure I really like your attitude here. Ha 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 ha. Bend over this knee, lol. Yeah, I don't really think making fun of like submissive fantasies is going to get you very far, but alright. So, reality seer, stripe them legs, haha. That's really not funny, okay. So, authentic truth. Nice try, authentic truth. I don't believe you was a stripper. You gonna have to prove that. Okay, give me your number. Yeah, I'll send you some nudes from when I was a stripper. That way I can prove myself to you, authentic truth. Your strategy was lacking. All right. So then, let's see. Is it true? So I feel half naked says, is it true that most pretty women they are more open to be cold approached because they have more social awareness, while the average and below ones are rejecting because they hate themselves? No, that is not true. Um, I don't agree with that at all. They're not rejecting you because they hate themselves. Like, I feel like you guys think it's like some simple math where it's like, I'm a 7, this girl's a 4. Therefore, she must accept me. It doesn't work like that. Like, just because you think she's average or below average, it's not like impossible for them to not like you or to not want to go on a date with you. And it's like the only possible explanation is not that just they hate themselves. Okay? Like, they simply may not like the way you approach, they may have a boyfriend, they may not really be open to dating a stranger. They might be afraid of sex. They might be lesbians. Like, there's so many different reasons. And it's not just that they hate themselves. And, I don't think that pretty women have like more social awareness. Like, many pretty women are, I mean, I don't know your definition of social awareness, but quite socially unaware. And many below average women are quite self aware and quite socially aware. So, yeah. But you guys need to understand that this whole, like, you know, she's a 4, therefore, like, I demand that she accept me, like, is just silly, bros. Please. Does it Does it correlate to the more socially savvy they are, the more they are open to be talked to? No, it doesn't. Okay. I don't agree with that. Hello, Michelle. I feel we may have a woman on here. Although I probably shouldn't assume, but hello, Michelle. Welcome. And Brad Bettis says, Hey, Victoria. Any more book recommendations that spring to mind lately? I'm down to read more. Thanks so much for the previous recommendations. You know, Brad, I actually had a really good recommendation for you guys that I've forgotten to mention, but this book clarified a lot of stuff for me, and it's kind of on like a random topic. I'm gonna type it in. It's actually called The Myth of Sex Addiction, but basically, after I read that book, I understood what male sexuality was so much better and how it differed from female sexuality. And I don't agree with his ultimate conclusion in the book that is like, you know, men want sexual variety and like lots of sex, and women just don't want it. Like, even if we offered it to them, they wouldn't take it. I agree with what he said about men. I don't agree with what he said about women necessarily. But besides that, the book is really, really quite illuminating. A lot of it is just about like why sex addiction isn't actually a clinical medical addiction, but is similar to the symptoms of addiction. But yeah, it's basically arguing sex addiction doesn't exist, which I agree with him, and it's just basically demonizing male sexuality. And I agree, but it just really helps you understand and separate out the differences between what I'm liking to call now the male gaze and the female gaze, or male sexuality and female sexuality. But it helps you like understand. I feel like the dating landscape so much better. Like after I read it, I'm just like, duh. Oh my god. So I feel like that book was so good. But I don't know if you'll feel the same way. Yeah. But great question, Brad. And I'll be thinking if there's some other that spring to mind as well. So then Talal says, do you think men should have a rotation or date one woman at a time? Ideally, Talal, I think you should have a rotation. I think most men probably want a rotation, so I think you shouldn't be afraid to have a rotation. I think you should be honest that, you're not looking for anything serious, but as long as they're staying, have a rotation because it's going to keep you less needy, less desperate. I mean, same goes for women. But when you put all your eggs in one basket, as my dad always says, the mouse with one hole is quickly taken. Okay, I have no idea where he got that. But yeah, it's good to have options, and when you have options, you feel more confident because you are not trapped. You are not truly desperate. So, yes, I do think you guys should have a rotation. JC007, thank you so much. So he says, I feel like this is a stupid question, but how do I meet women IRL? I rely on dating apps too much. I live in a major city on the East Coast. Okay, JC007, so great question. It's not a stupid question at all. How is this stupid? Not at all stupid. So basically, as I told you guys, this is a tip from my social skills coach, Ryan at Social Shortcuts, but he was elaborating on it more today when I had the session with him. He was saying, who is a person more likely to talk to? Somebody who comes like directly out of the bushes and is like, hello, my name is JC007. Or somebody who's kind of standing in your vicinity, like, you're on a train and the person sitting opposite you on the train like strikes up a conversation. I'm like, oh yeah, totally, duh. Like, obviously, the person who's just in your vicinity, in your proximity, proximate to you, whatever, and starts talking to you. Because then it seems like it happened naturally. Like, you're both in the situation, and it's like, oh, hey, you're here too. Rather than someone kind of like makes a beeline for you, and you're like, who is this guy? No idea. So I think like he makes a great point. First of all, you want to put yourself near that person or as near as possible without being like creepy and invading their personal space. But like if you want to talk to someone, try to like get in the proximity. Then he also said you want to be like facing them. I'm like, yeah, that's a really good point too. Like how, that's easier. And he was saying also that way it only takes 1 second of like blind confidence, then kind of like the 20 seconds it would take if you're making a beeline for someone from the bushes. So yeah, but basically, I feel like in order to meet women IRL, it's like whenever you see women that you're interested in, or even, and especially actually, women you're not interested in. Because, like I told you guys, I had this rejection club, and so many men who were trying to ask out women in this club that I was leading, they would be too intimidated to go up to attractive women. Okay, so I'm like giving them a challenge. Do not approach any attractive women. I want you to approach women, and we start with by just giving them compliments. So I'm like, give compliments to all the women in this store that you don't find attractive, and that really warmed them up. Once they did that, they realized, okay, I can do this, and then you can move on to attractive women. But really, practice starting conversations with people wherever you go. Unattractive women, old women, dogs, not women, like not as a derogatory word for women, but like literal canines. Okay. Um, you got to start talking to them. Okay. And then once you start kind of talking to them, and actually, if you want, you could check out this guy, Ryan at Social Shortcuts, because basically he's been teaching me how to never run out of things to say in conversation. And there are some really good tips. And I can see why, it's useful for just talking to women. Because a lot of times it's like, what the frick do I say? So it's like you just chat a little, and then you want to compliment them. You want to flirt with them just a little bit, and you want to ask for their number to hang out later. Like that's the basic idea. And I've like talked about like just a good cold approach line, but I really think like what's even better than trying to just go straight in with a compliment and would you like to can I get your phone number kind of thing, is just talking to people who you're in the proximity with. I'm like, and then going in for that when you're about to leave, making it like a quick conversation, like maybe 5-7 minutes. It doesn't even have to be that long. It could be like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. But yeah, but that's how you're going to meet women. Like just whenever you see one you're interested in, talk to them. I mean, yeah. So, yeah. Hold on 1 second, guys. Sorry. Okay. So JCB, like, can you do it? Do you think you'll do it? Because I feel like it's kind of simple, like easier said than done. But like talking to people you see and want to strike up a conversation with you, like, is the way. It's the only way. Like, don't try to go to like clubs or bars. You can; those are fine. But just like when you're at the grocery store, when you're at the bookstore, when you're at the library, when you're, walking in a park, like these kinds of places as well. You know what I mean? Thank you so much for your tip, JC007 as well, and hopefully that wasn't too boring of an answer. And I can give you that guy's name, Ryan at Social Shortcuts, if you want to look him up because I think he has some really good tips. And some of the things he taught me, I'm like, why didn't I know this? Because that actually does break it down like perfectly. So anyway, so where was I? Um, all right. Oh my gosh, Mike. Hello, Mike. My ultimate biggest supporter, Mike, has joined the chat. Really appreciate you, Mike. And do you have any questions? All right. Where was I? Michelle says, I have a question, if it is okay. I married nearly 5 years to my husband, the love of my life. He doesn't or won't understand my fear of that gun in our home with children. Oh gosh, Michelle, that is I I get it. I do get it. That would be very difficult. I'm pretty sure I would feel the same way. Um I love my husband. She says, I just wish you would look at it from my point of view. Okay, and then wait, sorry, there was more in pieces. So okay, so let me just find all the parts of it. So I'm just scared. Okay. All right. Going up. So Michelle says, he keeps it in a locked box in our closet. I'm just afraid because we have a daughter and we will be having a son in March. I'm just scared of accidents. I just wish my husband would look at it from my point of view as his wife, that we're parents now and that too much can go wrong with a weapon in the home. I know he is keeping it to keep us safe. I just worry now that I'm a mom of 2 kids. Am I wrong for feeling scared though? Michelle, like, I don't really know like the exact stats on it, but you're not wrong for feeling scared. I mean, accidents do happen. Like, I know, I don't really know exactly, but I totally understand why you would be scared and maybe would just feel scared. Um, and then Michelle says, because we have our daughter who turns a year in November and our son who I am pregnant with. Then Michelle says, I love my husband. I just wish you would look at it from my point of view. But I have to put our daughter and our son's safety first. So, yes, Michelle, like I'm just really wishing like he would, whether or not he disagrees, have some empathy for how you feel like as a mother and try to appreciate why you feel that way and just talk it out with you in like a respectful way. Like, I don't like that he's just kind of dismissing your feelings. It seems like from what you've said, like even if he disagrees and even if he is adamantly against it or whatever, he could still say, Michelle, it makes total sense that you would be feeling that way. Like, we have, we're parents now. We have to like consider the risks and stuff. And, I can imagine like you might be feeling like really afraid or even like angry with me for not talking this out with you. And, like I think you're such a great mother and I respect you so much and I love you so much and I want to like hear your thoughts on it and work it out with you. Like, ideally, he would say something like that, like, tell me more. And then you could just feel like heard and understood and validated, and you wouldn't feel like, am I crazy? And like, why won't he like care about my perspective? So, yeah, Michelle, like, I feel bad. Like, I feel bad for you because I feel like this would just be so stressful. And I feel like this is the kind of thing that would like drive me very insane and just make me feel so angry that he's not even willing to like have some shred of empathy for like my perspective. So, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I guess like the only thing you can do is just try to bring it up in like a sensitive way to him. Like, I'm not even the best at this, but you could just be really vulnerable and just tell him like how you're feeling. And maybe you already have, and you can kind of like try to, say, I totally understand your perspective because, you're trying to protect us. And like, I love that you do that. And I don't know if it's going to work, but you could try. You could try to really see his side first and then just tell him like how you feel. I don't know, Michelle. What do you think? Like, this is hard. This is not an easy situation. And then she says, I know right now I am more emotional being 5 months pregnant with my son. Well, Michelle, like, sometimes those emotions are probably like healthy because it's like you probably have the emotions of being protective of your children, and that makes total sense. And like, that's good thing. It's not like you're emotional crazy or emotional irrational. It's like those emotions are there for a reason, probably to protect your kids. So makes total sense. Um, yeah. So yeah, hopefully some other people helped you out too. And like I was saying, like with my boyfriend, like the moment he just understands, the moment he just gives me like some empathy, it's like sometimes the problem just evaporates. It doesn't have to be solved. Like maybe he doesn't even have to get rid of the gun, but like you guys could talk about, maximizing safety. I don't really know a lot about it, but everything you're saying makes sense. So. All right, so now I'm going back. Um, so Brandon H says the word alpha gets thrown around too much. We are humans, not wolves. Yeah, it does, Brandon. I agree with you. Once you start using it, it's kind of addictive, and you just have to use it all the time. So do not start using the word alpha because you will either become like a douche or you will become like a pick me as a woman. So Ramsey says, right, but how do you feel about direct women? There are some out there. It's not like they chase, but they go, hey, I like you. Fantastic. Fantastic, Ramses. I love it. They're. That's great. Renee says, the word gets thrown around so much, everyone wants to be the alpha. I think it's dumb. It's pretty dumb. I agree. It's dumb, but it does have a lot of truth to it, but in another way, it's dumb. So. Bustamane says, how can I approach an introverted girl who is really, really shy? Okay, well, you're talking to a good person because I used to have massive, severe social anxiety. So, but I'm pretty sure she likes me, but she tries very hard not to show it. How can I break that wall without making her uneasy? Well, I wouldn't really worry necessarily about making her uneasy. I mean, obviously, you don't like, I mean, if I were you, I would ask her to like hang out maybe in some like low key way. Like, oh, would you want to go on this errand with me sometime? Or would you want to go to the park with me and like get these drinks? Or would you want to get some food with me and make it kind of like a casual thing? Um, because I feel like if she likes you, she would be happy that you're asking her out. So she'd probably agree. But that is if indeed she really does like you. I mean, if she's so shy that she really likes you, but she's not gonna go out with you, what hope is there for her? I mean, I was very shy, but I can tell you that, like, if a guy I really liked asked me out, I would be, like, elated. So, I would, yeah, ask her to do something low key, almost like a friend thing, but, then you can guys can get to know each other better. You can, like, get to know her. She could feel more comfortable with you. She can feel more comfortable opening up. You can give her, like, a lot of positive reassurance. But, yeah. So Jolly Leprechaun says, I always seem to get the worst results approaching women at bars versus literally anywhere else. Target, Starbucks. Any thoughts on this? Seems like women have their guard up at bars. Well, if the woman's like in a group at a bar, she might not be ready for kind of like the portion of the night where they're getting their flirt on, you know? And also she might kind of want to look good in front of her friends by not being like all pick me and desperate. So, yeah, it's very likely that you're gonna have to wait until kind of like the key hour at the bar to approach a woman. And also, I think women are kind of more like at a bar, they know, okay, I'm going to be approached by multiple guys, like one after the other. And I have to kind of like hold my defenses, you know, or I'll be like swarmed. So I think they are a bit more like selective and picky because there are so many guys there who are going to try to hit on them versus like you're saying a Target or a Starbucks, you know, probably there's probably not going to be like multiple guys who are hitting on them while they're there. So yeah, I agree. They probably have their defenses down more. And yeah, I think it's better to approach people at like Target or Starbucks. It's kind of more of a cool story for the girl. Oh, I got approached at this Target. I met this guy in a Target rather than I met this guy in a bar. Well, of course you met a guy in a bar. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I don't know. It's just, they're not going to be too impressed, I guess is what I'm saying. That's not to say you shouldn't ask out women at bars. You should. Because there's probably like an hour at the bar where they're more likely to be receptive the later and the drinker they get. But yeah. I feel half naked says, ha ha ha, I'd rather approach a prettier one and get rejected than approach an average being blown out. I have to roll my eyes. I feel half naked just because, you know, this is a very insecure attitude. All right. I feel half naked says, in society, there's only one alpha, but the word is thrown out like everyone can be real alpha male. It's not true. Well, I really disagree with that because, in my opinion, every guy could kind of like access his inner alpha. You don't have to be born an alpha or whatever. So, and I think beta males are guys who have like really destructive attitudes that are kind of confusing them and making them weak and powerless. And also men who don't understand women at all, and so are yet again like weak and powerless because all they know is like what they want, which is sex, and they're not getting it basically. And they don't know how to like talk to women or offer them something for sex that they would actually want to like engage in a fair trade with them for, if you will. So that's what like beta males are to me, and just guys who are confused, guys who are weak because they've been made weak by certain attitudes. Like in my opinion, a lot of the red pill attitudes like make men weak. I don't know, maybe they were already confused and that's why they're looking at the red pill stuff, but whatever. Oh god. Luis says, could you make a video on book recommendations that I could give to a friend? Your channel has helped my sex life and I like a way to share some ideas in a book format. Yeah, it's a really good idea for a video. I will definitely keep it in mind as a great video idea, so thanks. God. I'm getting very annoyed by a comment I'm seeing here and there. So, hello, Brack from Nepal. That's so cool. So Tommy says, how does having options make women feel more confident when both men and women will shame women that they know sleep with multiple partners? Well, first of all, only like beta males, if you will, shame women for sleeping with multiple partners. And most women are not going to shame other women. I mean, maybe some like Karens on the internet will shame them, but your friends aren't going to shame you for sleeping with multiple partners. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if you live in like the heart of the Bible Belt or something, it's different. But like where I was living in New York City, your female friends do not shame you. But some guys will try to do it. But it makes them feel more confident because if you just have one guy you're obsessed with, he pulls away. He doesn't want to see you. And now you're desperate for his attention. You're desperate when you feel like having sex and he's your only option. And he's pulling away. He doesn't want to have sex that night or something because he's busy with his bros. Whereas if you had multiple guys in your rotation as a woman, if you had 10 guys in your phone who you could call, that one guy pulls away, big deal. You just call the next guy on your phone and he's like, yeah, I want to hang out. So you feel more confident because you feel, I'm not addicted to this one dude who may or may not be able to provide me like what I need when I want it. And to be honest, women really do have like infinite options, especially when it comes to casual sex. So, the more they realize that and the more they use their options, the more confident they feel because really the more sexual power they truly have to get their needs met from certain guys and to even get things from certain guys for casual sex and simply to meet and enjoy more people without feeling desperate and needy because they never have to feel that. So that's why, Mike. Oh, sorry, not Mike. Tommy. I apologize, Tommy. So, Venture ABC says, "Hey there," or "Hey there." Heard usually women fantasize about her book hero in men, while men fantasize about a variety of women they saw or something. Um, well, I mean, women do have their book heroes who they've kind of created in the image of like the ultimate sensitive yet extremely alpha dude. Like, for example, Jamie from Outlander, who's like basically, you know, the guy who's like everyone wants him to be the head of the clan and he can like withstand the most pain and he's like super big and brawny and yet he's also like super sensitive and totally in love with her and like Christian Grey and then all these other romance novel heroes, yeah. And then men fantasize about a variety of women they saw. I mean, that seems pretty obvious. So yeah, I'd say it's true. Um So MM says, girl at work walks by me to peek at me like 4 times a day. I think she likes me. How do I approach her? What do I say? Well, yeah, if you're ever in like the same area with her, just be like, hey, well, does she know your name? Because you could just be like, hey, I'm so and so. Like, I see you walking by me sometimes. Like, what do you, and just start it from there. But that's all you have to say, basically. Just get the conversation rolling. Um, okay. So, music and spaces. Sometimes we as men get the message that any type of initiating conversation with a random woman is harassment. Yeah, well, you know, don't harass them. But is talking to a stranger in public harassment? No, it's really not. However, it could become harassment quite easily if you know, get angry at them, lash out at them, refuse to take no for an answer and all that. But just talking to people in public, asking for their number, it's not harassment. Remember says, this may seem odd, but I literally talk to women every day like she's a guy friend. Then I throw in little flirts here and there. It works 100% of the time, makes it not at all creepy. Yeah, that's really good, remember. Like I can totally see how that would work. And because you want to seem casual, you want to seem not intimidated, you want to seem friendly and flirtatious. You know what I'm saying? So I like that a lot because I feel like most guys they like build it up so much that they're all like tense and shaking and the woman just picks up on it and it's like it comes across as weak. So Luis says I was reading a philosophy book on language. An example interested me. The phrase "you never help me" is often a call for appreciation and emotional help rather than a call for physical help. Oh yeah, like I could totally I would I wouldn't even think of like physical help. If a woman's saying it, I would assume it's probably more like emotionally, like in the sense of I want you to want to help me. I want you to care about me. I want you to like I want it to bother you if I need help. I want you to like understand when I'm vulnerable and want to help me. That kind of thing. Yeah. That's interesting. So Ripped Up says, this is tricky because this was in response to Michelle's question. If he doesn't understand her being empathetic, it can escalate. Her husband Ari doesn't understand Michelle, just wants to know if they're seeing eye to eye. Yeah, Ripped Up, I do know what you mean. It can escalate quite quickly. You're right with what I was saying. Like sometimes I've tried to do that, just okay, I'm just gonna share my feelings. And it escalates, so yeah, it's risky. Okay, so Mike says, after you've built that initial attraction and comfort, you can ask her out. Tell her in a way that you're going to this place and you want her to come along with you. You're basically asking her to be with you on a date without her realizing it. In the process, it is you who will put those emotions and feelings to her through the experience. At the end of the day, she must be the one to feel like it's a date, not you. I think that's for the shy person. Not bad. Um, Samuel Williams, I'm not exactly sure about the autism spectrum. Like, I would imagine, yeah, like you're saying, it is a lot harder for them to get girls because of their inability to read social cues. Like, I have watched Love on the Spectrum, so I could definitely see on that show why it would be a lot harder for them. That's a great show, but maybe they have no problems conversing and they are high functioning. Yeah, I agree. So, yeah. Jelly Leprechaun, thank you so much. He says, thank you for this tip, Jolly. Definitely makes sense. I met this guy at Target is a much cuter story in her head than I met this guy at a bar when she tells her friends. Don't imagine many romantic comedies begin with a couple meeting at the bar. Thanks. Yeah, you're right, Jolly Leprechaun. That might kind of influence them a little bit. Because they're just kind of like, well, this is cool. This doesn't happen very often. This could be the start of a meet cute, like in a rom com. Yeah, I agree. Whereas at a bar, it's kind of like a bit sleazy. You know what I mean? It's all like sexually charged and drunken. Yeah. Thanks again, Jolly Leprechaun. That's really nice of you. To me. Let me know if you have any other questions. MM says, nah, I'm in NYC. Most women don't sleep around. Maybe not with you, MMM, but I was in NYC for like at least 10 years. dating there, so women are sleeping around. Um, Em says, I'm about to go to the club in a little bit, and most of the girls here are looking for relationships. Well, yeah, that's the thing. They are looking for relationships, but in the process of securing those relationships, they are open to sleeping with guys or having casual sex, just kind of like on the road to finding their ultimate relationship. I'm not saying they just want casual sex and they want to have casual sex forever because they don't want children, they don't want a family, they don't want a husband, they don't want a wedding. They don't want a house in the country. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying they're like a man in that they're just looking to like fuck as many guys as they possibly can and do that for as long as possible, ideally. Like, no. But they will have multiple guys in the rotation as a dating strategy in order to find the one, their soulmate, the ultimate best guy they can get for mating, if you will. So, Michelle says, I remember how my husband and I met. I went home to Norway with friends to a Ramstein concert festival. I met my husband at the festival. We flirted. I gave him my number, and a week later, he showed up at my grandparents' house and told me we were going out, not asking me out. Lol, my husband is a typical Norwegian male Viking. Lol. Wow, Michelle, that is a bold move. And I'm sure many a woman would be kind of quite impressed by that. I mean, I guess you had enough rapport that this wasn't like creepy, but that's a bold rom com style move. I like it. But please, men, don't try this at home. Um, Pistol Pete says, why do men have to conform? Why can't men date women the way that they want? Well, Pistol Pete, like, that's not the dating economy. Men want the sex and women don't want to give the sex, you know, to everyone. And so there's like a supply and demand problem. And so women have the power, okay? Basically. So, although like theoretically men shouldn't have to conform, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. That's just the way the world works. And probably, I don't know if it's always worked that way or whatever, but yeah. So why can't men date women the way they want? Like, what woman's gonna do it for you? I mean, the way most men seem to like want to date women, it's like basically they want like the girlfriend experience or like a sex worker or something. And that's a paid service because women don't want to offer that for free because they have needs. They have wants. They're different than like typical male sexuality. And you could see it as like, women, they got to be much more picky because they can only have one pregnancy like a year basically. And men, can impregnate like whatever, so many, like infinite women a year. So anyway, they're more picky, they're more selective, they're giving it out less. And so you're going to have to basically make a fair trade with them, I guess. I don't know if I explained that so great, but I mean, you can try to date women the way that you want, and if any women take up your offer, then good, but they're probably not going to because they get paid for that because that's not what they want. So, David says, 41-year-old man here pursuing 34-year-old woman. We are both single, have no children. Question, we are in a hiking group, so not sure to ask her out romantically. Definitely ask her out romantically. So what? Like, you're in a hiking group. Just ask her out. I mean, Worst case scenario, you feel slightly awkward in the hiking group? Definitely ask her out. Yeah, I mean, you could probably like hike ahead of her. You could probably hike like a mile ahead of her or something, never even see her. Mm. So Sebastian says, is there an explanation to why most women will completely lose interest if the man starts chasing her or prioritizing her? I've seen it happen countless times. Okay, well, first of all, it depends how you're chasing her and prioritizing her, but sometimes this can reveal kind of like your true beta qualities, if you will, because it kind of like telegraphs in the way you're chasing her or seeming like really desperate that you are desperate, and that can be a turnoff. Um, but sometimes it's like, you know, you're putting it all on the line when you start actually chasing her and prioritizing her, and then she really has to make a decision, like one way or another, and so she might reject you at that point. Whereas before, it was almost more like, yeah. But I mean, there's also another way to think of it. Like, people want what they can't have, but I don't really like. That's what they say. I don't know if I completely agree with it, but yeah, just from my personal experience, like sometimes I remember when guys suddenly started like getting really like anxious and trying to like really chase like really hard. It's like their kind of like true personality became apparent in a way. But for example, my boyfriend, like when he started chasing me, like he did it in a really calm, non-reactive, measured, kind of like long-term strategy way. And I didn't lose interest. I actually slowly like gained interest. So yeah, but I'm not saying like you're wrong, but also like I was saying on another live, like sometimes a guy can like really overwhelm a girl as well. Like I was telling you how like this friend I had, she would always date these guys who would like really chase her and prioritize her and give her tons of gifts and throw rose petals around it. She liked it at first, but then it was kind of like her subconscious was like, this is just too much. This is so over the top. This guy, it's like she didn't really see this guy as weak at first because she wasn't like too good at reading those signs. But then when he started doing that, she suddenly realized, like, oh my God, this guy is like so like wimpy kind of thing. Um, so I don't know, just some ideas. So then Remember says, hello, Remember, thank you very much. I appreciate your tip. So if I get numbers from women in relationships, should I bluntly ask what exactly do they want out of me or see where it goes? Thanks, V. I don't want drama. Um, I feel like in that scenario, well, okay, so did they give the number to you? Are they like, here, take my number, call me? Or were you out and you just asked for their number and then they agreed and then you later found out they're in a relationship? Because, I mean, I don't think there's any harm if they're in a relationship of just asking, you know, why did you give me your number? Like, you're married kind of thing. Or you're in a relationship. Like, I don't think you don't have to play games as much, I feel like, if she's in a relationship. They're kind of more like comfortable to be direct because it's like they don't have to worry about securing you and like locking you down because they already have a backup. But yeah, so I don't think there's a problem with just bluntly asking. I mean, don't ask in such a blunt way that it comes off kind of like rude and obnoxious. But I guess you can. So yeah. Tell me like this exact situation, remember? Like give me like an example. I'd love to hear. So then so Sebastian says the girl that likes me told me that she has social anxiety and she doesn't like nightclubs or crowded places. Meanwhile, I'm the opposite. I love those places. Will a relationship with her work? Well, sometimes people with social anxiety, they're actually pretty extroverted. And oh, but she told you she doesn't like nightclubs or crowded places. Yeah, okay. I mean, it could work, but I feel like it will be difficult because you're going to always want to be like going out, and then she's going to be all wanting to not come. So it might be difficult, but it could work. I mean, it's worked with less than that probably, but okay. So Blake Willer says, I'm in a dry spell. I need some guidance. So what on what specifically, Blake? Bimmer Wan says, so I was talking to this girl for a year and she tells me I don't open up enough about my feelings. I do that and then she ghosts me, like WTF. Also, if Ancestry DNA says I'm 4% Norwegian, then can I say that I'm a Viking male instead of a Sigma male? Okay, guys, I wouldn't say this whole Sigma male thing. Like, I don't feel like it's gonna catch many women. Like, it seems kind of like you're just admitting you're not alpha, basically. And of course, you guys have some interesting ideas of what alpha is. So, but I just don't think like this whole it's good to like identify as a sigma male. Maybe just take it, in for yourself. Like, oh, I like that. That helps me think about myself. But just talking about yourself as a sigma male, telling women you're a sigma male, I wouldn't do it. But I say Viking is kind of like a good buzzword to use on like online dating profiles because it kind of like signifies a little bit of masculinity. Um Awoke says Hormaxer would have you on. He doesn't discriminate. What is Hormaxer all about? Like he commented on my video saying he loves the green door or something like that. Well, he said like you like the green door as well or something like that. So Peter says, of course women have to get the best for the genes. Men should become valuable. Men have a life. Also, women require to bring more to a relationship. Just the beauty, they should have respect. So then, so Bimmerwan, I haven't seen Peaky Blinders. I apologize. So I don't know who Thomas Shelby's character is. Is that a good show? And Beaumont Michael says, is that a squeaky bird in the background? Well, it's actually frogs. Bimmerwan says, I'm 25 years old and never spoke more than 3 whole sentences to a woman at once. Besides my mom, of course. Well, Bimmerwan, like, it is time to speak 4 whole sentences to a woman. Jolly Leprechaun says, what would you guess is the golden hour for women at a bar? Like you said, women tend to have their guard up at bars until the alcohol tones down The consequences part of the mind. Well, Jolly Leprechaun, I don't know, like, I know bars stay open, like, different hours, but, like, in New York City, they stay open till, like, 4 a.m. So I would say, like, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. is, like, when the party gets started, you know? Then, okay, Peaky Blinders, excellent show, you should definitely watch it. Okay. Authentic truths, they are nothing. I don't know what that means. Well, I reached the bottom, guys. So, let me think. Let me think if I have any questions for you, because I actually wrote some down the other day that I wanted to ask you guys, so just hold on one second. Okay, I asked that one. Alright, here's an well, I don't know if you'll think it's interesting, but, what are your guys' thoughts on polyamory? Would you want to do it? Yes or no? Curious. And here's another one for you guys. What do you guys think? Or rather, I should say, what are your thoughts on talking in the bedroom? Would you want to do it? Do you like it yourself? Do you prefer to be silent? 2 questions for you. Oh, Bimmerwan says, I have adult selective mutism, which is a rare anxiety disorder. It doesn't matter how brave I am or how hard I try. No matter what, the physiological symptoms of anxiety prevent me from speaking or thinking clearly when anxious. Okay, yeah, Bimmerwan, I know what selective mutism is. Pretty interesting. And like I told you, I had also pretty extreme social anxiety, and I also got kind of this public speaking anxiety for a while where, like, every time I would kind of think about, like, my mind going blank, my mind would go blank, or I would just be totally afraid of my mind going blank, and then I just, like, my mind would go blank, and then I would just be flooded with anxiety and, like, humiliated. So I've had, like, a lot of different kinds of anxiety disorders too, but I never had selective mutism, but I know, like, sometimes, like, a kid doesn't speak in school for, like, you know, 7 years or something, or even longer. And, is did that ever happen to you or anything like that? But, yeah, I could see how it could happen. So, um so David McFarland says, "No, and more of the monogamous type." Nice. Monogamy. Um, and then Brandon H says, "No, I don't like sharing." Just in general, Brandon H? Alright. Well, maybe I could show you guys some, interesting TikToks that I feel like would be helpful to you guys. Um, alright. Let's see. So remember, it says, guys, bars are the last place I would go to meet a chick. I work at a grocery store, and that has literally boosted my social skills like crazy. Dress super sharp style and learn to slightly flirt. I also grew up in a really bad area and saw pimps encounter women. Good tips, remember. Yeah. Do you have any good flirting tips for us? Like, how do you flirt with people when you're working at the grocery store? And how did you see the pimps acting? I'm curious when they would encounter women. Um, all right. Here's a good example I'm going to show you guys on TikTok. Well, if you don't have any other questions. All right, here we go. Finest girl outside right now. Right now. Y'all say something. You got snapped, right? You? Yes, me. All right, we'll talk about it later. Man, look, I don't. Okay, did you guys see that? So, did you see how that kid was like? Would you guys call this kid like alpha or whatever? Or even like good looking? I mean, he's a kid, obviously, so we're not going to comment on that. But I'm just saying, it's his attitude. Do you know what I'm saying? Whatever form the attitude came in, it would be like attractive to women. And we're not talking about this actual kid right here, but I'm saying, did you see he has like badass attitude? It doesn't matter what kind of package that kind of attitude comes in. You know what I mean? So that was an interesting example. Because, like, when women are like, I like confidence, that's kind of like a perfect example for you. So, authentic truth. Victoria never read my comments because she knows what I say is the truth and the truth hurts. Seriously, bro, do you have the result to this to getting attention? Like, it's really sad. It's really annoying. And I don't want to overuse my best insult, but it's like beta AF, bro. Like, just ask me a normal question if you want to talk to me. You don't need to, like, try to troll. Because it's honestly just annoying. Yes, I got attention. Ha ha. Yes, I'm beta. Yes, you are. Just seriously, bro, why do you do it? Like, seriously, you want attention that bad? Like, aren't you ashamed of yourself? Like, just being that desperate for attention? So, Fi Low says, do you like the Spocker? I can pretty much tell you, like, no woman likes this. No woman likes that. And, like, in porn, when they do this, they're faking it. But many guys think this is, like, the ultimate, like, move. Like, yay, I know one move. It's not a good move. A good move is to actually find the clit and just gently rub. Not this. That, like, basically hurts. The clit, that's where the money is. So, yeah. Alright, so Number one, yeah, selective mutism, that's got to be very, very difficult. All right, I'm going to try to show you another good TikTok that will be interesting. All right, here's a guy I really liked, all right? This guy I thought was like ideal. Okay, I'll play this guy for you.
Say that girls misunderstand. Whenever a guy asks for your body count, he's not trying to offend you.
Actually, it is offensive and none of their fucking business. Ladies, you just look at them in the eye and say more than you, loser. Nice life. Never gonna happen. Go fuck off. And then you give them a nice little. Oh, I was trying to tase it, make a tase sound, but you do that right to their balls.
Things that guys say that girls.
Okay, so that might not play well with this audience, but that guy has a very sex positive attitude and it's like so fucking attractive. Like, do you see how that guy's like very masculine, but he's not putting down women for their body count? Like, he's actually supporting women because he doesn't need to like insult women for their body count. So when I saw that, I'm just like, that's the kind of guy that I would want to date. And yeah, he doesn't have like model looks, you know. Um, To all boys in Europe, suggest you watch Fresh and Fit podcast if you want to learn about women. Oh dear Lord, dear Lord.
Misunderstand. Whenever
I don't like Fresh and Fit at all. So let's see. Here's something interesting you guys might not know. Let's see, does this have music on it? Oh yeah, it does. I guess I'll have to play without music. So she says, the feminine urge to. Damn it. Let me read it to you first, because I don't have the music. Basically, the feminine urge to feed the patriarchy when he comes home from work looking like this. Okay? And then he's all like dirty from like his construction job or something, right? So do you guys know that's kind of like the female gaze? Like that's kind of a woman like talking about her submissive fantasy. You know, she wants to cook for him. She wants to feed him. She wants to take care of him. This is kind of like the female gaze. And it's like that guy, you know, he's all like, I mean, he did look pretty cool looking, but he was just kind of all like dirty and yeah, like look at this guy's outfit. It's all like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like kind of that fantasy of like a rough masculine guy. So remember says, is it illegal for me to record my conversations with women? I'm not sure. Like, I'm not a lawyer. Maybe if someone is a lawyer, they know the law. Authentic truth. Because for a man to have a high body count, you need to be a 10 on many things. Good point, authentic truth. Nick Gomez says, those fresh and fit guys are clowns trapped in their feminine energy. I kind of agree with you, Nick Gomez, because it's like, I agree they're clowns, but then are they in their feminine energy? I feel like they're in their, like, I feel like it's masculine energy, but it's like what I coined a term for it. It's kind of like the divine masculine, which is like the stuff in the masculine that women like. And then there's like the infernal masculine, or these are still masculine traits. Like they act like pretty typical for like a lot of guys, but it's like not good masculine traits according to women. So yeah, in that sense, another word for that might be feminine energy. But yeah, they just seem really like angry, whiny beta, not like this uber like strong leader type. I don't know. So yeah, I do agree with you, Nick. So then Brandon H says he looks scrawny to me, lol. Yeah, see, that's the interesting thing that I thought might be interesting to show you guys that video. It's like I feel like a lot of you think, oh, it's all about being that bodybuilder, but it's not, because see, he was just like a scrawny guy, but he looked all rough and kind of doing like an ultimate masculine thing, like construction, So that in itself is attractive. This is the female gaze for you. This is the stuff women find like sexually appealing. David McFarland says, I had that happen a few times. I was a laborer from 2013, 2015. My woman at the time cooked for me, which was nice. Yeah. I feel like that might make her more likely to do it because you're giving her that masculine vibes, So it kind of like triggers like the sexual vibes for her. Um, Nick Gomez says, that's what I mean. They're in their head angry energy, not in their relaxed body energy. Yeah, Nick, I agree. They just seem all like so angry that like men aren't getting the respect or rather like the same rights basically that women have. And maybe that's fine because they're kind of like a men's rights activists and they using their anger for a worthy cause, debatably. But they're not attractive to women because of that. Because you're right, they just seem too angry in kind of like a way where it's like they seem unstable in a way. They seem like they could lash out at any time, which is, I agree, like the opposite of that relaxed body, safe, grounded, strong, like good leader energy. You know what I mean? So. Authentic Truth says, do you think a woman thinks she's a 10 if many men want to be with her? Yeah, this is a very like fresh and fit question. Like maybe ask fresh and fit this question because I'm sure they'd love to be like, oh, it's so hilarious. She thinks she's a 10, but she's not. Because in my opinion, even though it will never matter, she's a 6. It's very annoying. But interestingly, I kind of wanted to make a video on this topic because I took a screenshot that I wanted to talk about actually regarding this. Listen to this. Would you have sex with yourself? Your answer to this question reveals something about your erotic self-focus or the degree to which you turn yourself on or embrace your own sexiness. Although it might sound a little like narcissism, it's not. It's about feeling comfortable and confident in your own skin. The fact that heterosexual women have more of this erotic self-focus than heterosexual men is interesting. But it blah 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 blah. But basically, she's saying that erotic self-focus, or in other words, a woman seeing herself as a 10, feeling hot, no matter kind of like what she truly is, if you rated everyone on a scale or something like that, is good for her sex life, is good for feeling comfortable. Well, what did they say? It reveals something about the degree to which you turn yourself on and embrace your own sexiness. And this is just something that I really feel like men who are just so obsessed with like the whole rating thing cannot see. Women are calling themselves 10s, not because of narcissism, like this post was saying, but because they need to basically hype themselves up. They need this erotic self focus. They need to feel sexy in order to really be in the dating world and enjoy sex. So you guys trying to tell them, "Oh, you're narcissistic. You're not actually that good looking. You're crazy for thinking you could get this guy or whatever." It's not helpful. And it's stupid because you don't understand the motive for why women need to do it and why women do it. It just seems totally silly. Like you guys don't comment on things like you don't understand, kind of thing. That's really what I feel. Like if a woman sees herself as a 10, that's a good thing for you because in bed she will find herself sexy and she will feel comfortable in her own skin because all women want to feel like 10s. So if she can give that to herself, it's very good. Authentic truth, you're really like being so annoying. I'm just gonna block you because I'm just gonna mute you. No, I'm gonna put you in timeout. Okay, this is a perfect example, guys. Let me get it's just spew your red pill BS. Please, why don't you go to like a different channel? Like there's this channel just pearly things. Okay? All the other guys like you are there in the comment section whining, complaining, just repeating the red pill talking points. You'd be in good company. Okay? But yeah. Awoke says, don't you think women are overdoing it? They want to feel like 10s and try to look for the 10s, but the guys who are 10s don't want a fake 10. These women do just fine. Like, stop worrying about them. Stop, like, trying to tell them over and over again. It's like a kid who wants to go to Harvard and their college counselor is telling them, you don't have the grades to go to Harvard. You're not good enough to go to Harvard. Their parents are telling them, oh, why don't you just apply to like a community college? You'll never get into Harvard. And you know what? Some of those people get into Harvard because they don't listen to what people say and they just go for it and they apply. Whereas, other people who are just listening to you guys are just like, oh, yeah, I'm just a 6. I guess I'll just accept one of these, like, guys who's telling me I'm ugly. No, don't worry about them. Let them have their mating strategy. Let them try to get the best guy they can get. Maybe they will try to get a guy who doesn't like them. That's okay. That's dating. You can't get everyone. You get rejected some of the time or even a lot of the time. Let them like live and learn. Don't just try to tell them you're ugly. You're actually so ugly. You're so much uglier than you think. Why? Why do you do it? It really annoys me. It just comes across as so weak. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna go. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much to people who tip me. And thank you so much to people who asked really great questions. And thank you to everyone for sharing. And one word to the wise before I go, because, like, why not, right? You will do so much better with women if you lift women up rather than trying to put them down. Like, be one of the guys who compliments like an old grandmother and is just like, God, you're looking good today, kind of thing. Okay? Not someone who looks at an old grandmother and says, damn, like, put a garbage bag over your head or whatever. Okay? Like, that's what you guys are doing when you're like always trying to tear down women who are trying to love themselves, trying to accept themselves, trying to hype themselves up, trying to feel sexy. So please, be the kind of guy who inspires respect in women, not tries to like tear them down so that they'll, you know, their self-esteem will be lowered and they'll be more likely to pick a 7 or something or whatever. So, yeah, that's all. Remember, that's pretty interesting. Some of you guys haven't been rejected and it shows. Can you elaborate on that? Because I like that. Like, my boyfriend, he literally always, like, compliments, like, old ladies. He's always trying to make them feel good, you know? He's always trying to just lift their spirits, make them feel beautiful, make them feel sexy. Like, that's the habit I want you guys to get into. Because you can really hurt yourself by going too much in the opposite direction. You want to do it in a confident and cool way, okay? Don't just be over the top, like simping or whatever. But a lot of times, what you guys think is simping is just like truly lifting people up, you know? Oh my god, like how annoying can you be? Authentic truth. I'm just going to put you in timeout again. So, Venture ABC says, flirt with everyone, learn the skill. I agree. 100% Venture ABC. Blood sacrifices are not sexy, they're extremely scary, in my opinion. Ted Barley says, what do you think about Just Pearly? I have no fucking clue how she does it because her comment section is one of the most annoying comment sections in the entire world. But she just never responds. I don't really know because I haven't really watched her channel too much. I just saw a video of her responding to my video. I didn't like that she didn't credit me at all, which I thought was pretty, like, not cool. And I didn't think she really, like, said anything too much in the video, but I guess she's very popular. But, I mean, I don't have anything against her because I don't really know much about her. All right. Bye, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much to my tippers and everyone else for being here and listening and asking great questions. All right, bye, guys.